Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Jar of Marble dwellers. My name is Linda and I'm Bob, and we are so glad that you're here. This week, I wanted to talk a little bit about 1996, circa 1996. 1996 was a leap year starting on Monday of the Gregorian calendar. It was the year my youngest daughter Carla was born. I was thinking on that year, and on a worldwide basis, a lot occurred. Shows that started airing that year was Seinfeld, Friends and ER. Friends were thrust back into the forefront stage news with the sad news of Matthew Perry passing, which was very sad. I still watch reruns of Seinfeld now. In fact, when I can't sleep, I listen to Seinfeld, The Big Bang Theory, sometimes Friends, and it totally relaxes me, and off I go into dreamland. Oh, that sounds nice. Yes, it is a little bit. The English Patient, starring Ralph Fiennes, Kristen Scott Thomas and Juliette Binoche, won the Oscar for Best Picture, made in 1996. Other nominees including Fargo, Jerry Maguire, Secrets and Lies and Shine. Independence Day, Twister and Impossible were among the top box office hits for the year. Top Billboard songs included the Macarena. Remember that song? That's a cool memory, because there were times when that song came on and nearly every time someone would stop to do the Macarena, people would dance or at least yell, "Hey!" One Sweet Day, Mariah Carey, and Boys to Men, and Because You Love Me, Celine Dion. In sports, the New York Yankees won their 23rd World Series, the Chicago Bulls were crowned NBA champions, and the Dallas Cowboys won Super Bowl. It says XXX. I don't know what that means, but, I'm sure that you might. Atlanta hosted the 1996 Olympics, and the US women's national team notably won the first ever women's Olympic gold medal in soccer. I know. Pretty fantastic. So that was 1996 there, wrapped up a little bit. Now, in Australia, 4th of April, the Wiggles' 6th album, Wake Up Jeff, is released. On the 28th of April, Port Arthur massacre. Martin Bryant kills 35 people, injures 21 in a shooting spree at the Port Arthur Historic Site in Tasmania. That was just honestly, I remember, obviously 96, we're going back 27, nearly 28 years. I think at that point was like the worst thing that I'd ever heard in my life at that stage. But, we've come a long way now. There's so much to choose from now, isn't there, in terms of just insanely terrible. The Howard government refers to the federal executive government of Australia, led by Prime Minister John Howard, between the 11th of March 96 and 3rd of December 2007. It was made up of members of the Liberal National Coalition, which won a majority of seats in the House of Representatives at 4 successive elections. Leaded petrol is phased out in New Zealand. Michael Jackson, the King of Pop, performed in Auckland both nights, November 9th and November 11th, as part of his World Tour, History World Tour. And 1st of November, Cartoon Network debuts on New Zealand television. 1996, I was 34 years old, 4 months and 29 days, when I had Carla. Yes, that's right, I had 2 daughters already, one a 12-year-old girl and a 9-year-old girl, and along came their little sister, a little bundle of joyousness. And anyone that knows Carla knows that she is one of the most genuine, kind and talented people. All my girls are wonderful people. Brag much? Correct, Bobo. When I had my 3rd baby, we were living in the bush way down the south coast of New South Wales in Australia, and I had to travel a bit further down the coast to Bateman's Bay, another 40 minutes, to the nearest hospital. After Carla had arrived, a newspaper man appeared and took pictures of Carla and I to go into their newspaper. I thought that was a little bit different. It's one thing to get a mention in births, deaths and marriages, but a photo post-birth, not one to shy away from going with the flow, we made it to the front page. I kid you not. I got lucky and they got me on a good angle. Carla, though, she just looked a bit miffed. I was asked later if I did modelling holding babies. Yes, of course I do. That's quite right. Memories. Now, does that strike you as an odd question? Oh, yes, I do model for babies. Like, really? Anyway, but it was a sign of things to come for Carla, as she'd been hitting the news in one form or another for the rest of her life, and even to this day. She's really famous. More every day, Bob. Keep in mind, this young woman, Carla, is also very modest. I think that is one of her qualities that is so surprising given all she has achieved and still achieving. Hashtag 1996. I recall that year as a year of change, and there were many changes afoot in the coming months and years. It's easy from the future to see it so clearly, isn't it? But by the end of the year, we were off to New Zealand to live, and leading up to that move, I sold my highway cafe and set up another business in my town of birth in New Zealand. So much happened, boy, oh boy. It's a perfect time to say it was scary, but I was going to do it anyway. I had no idea what I was going to do when I got there. Looking back, it simply felt right. My soul was singing, and that meant, yes, go, 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 and I did. I know. But unbeknownst to me, it was time to grow. It was one of those years where you were going to grow whether you planned it, liked it, or not. Well, what did you do? That year, I renovated a shop, opened up a 7-day cafe, small grocer business attached to it, as well as a delivery van. I was raising 3 girls who were all at different ages, one who had just started high school, one who went to a country school, and my wee bub, Carla. I was in the Rocky Horror Show, 21st Centenary, playing Magenta, and opened and closed the show with science fiction. I did artwork for another business and radio work. I reconnected with friends and made discoveries about my family that had long fallen away. It was like having a really long, bad afternoon. Yeah, pretty much. But it had to happen. It did. And I've been happy for a long time that it did. Deception is not my bag, so I left them all to it. You cannot polish a turd. Now, the top 9 of the top 100 pop music in 1996 were, we did mention this a little bit before, the Macarena, then One Sweet Day, Because You Love Me, Nobody Knows, Always Be My Baby, that's 2 for Mariah Carey, geez. Give Me One Reason, Tracy Chapman, Fabulous, The Crossroads, I Love You Always Forever, Donna Lewis, You're Making Me High, Let It Flow, Tony Braxton. Australian 1996 population was 18,211,845, minus the 4 of us. The population of New Zealand was approximately 3,707,352. The extra 4 was because of us. You're welcome. That's right. You're very welcome. I know, okay, all right. Movies that were out in 1996, Trainspotting, Fargo, Independence Day, The Rock, Mission Impossible, Happy Gilmore, Jerry Maguire, Matilda. That was a fantastic movie, and because I still had kids at home, this remains a favourite for all time. The Birdcage, I love that movie. Twister, James and the Giant Peach, fabulous. My daughter Ashley absolutely loves all things Dole. In 1996, the 48th Primetime Emmy Awards were presented by Michael J. Fox, Paul Razier and Oprah Winfrey. Fraser took home Outstanding Comedy Series for the 3rd straight year and won 2 major awards overall. In the drama field, ER came into the ceremony as the most nominated drama for the 2nd straight year with 11 major nominations. Now, I loved Murder, She Wrote. All my girls did, but they did not know this. This is very interesting. Didn't know this. For the 12th and final season of Murder, She Wrote, Angela Lansbury was once... Hold on a minute. Was once again nominated. What's going on? I don't know. Just hold on a minute, Bob. Was once again nominated for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Drama Series. She had been nominated for every season of the show, and she was defeated once again. In the process, she set records for being the most nominated actress in the category, as well as the most nominated actress without winning. Both of these records still stand at something like 18 times. I thought that was rather good myself, that show. In 1996, Australian fashion was in the midst of a coming-of-age period. That year, Australian Fashion Week was established, providing an international platform for the country's fashion industry. Fashion trends in 1996 included slip dresses, chokers, overalls, matching minis, track pants, gingham, one-piece swimsuits, pigtails, Oh my gosh. Fabulous 1996. I remember it fondly as the year in which witchy goth became a big thing thanks to Craft, the movie. Remember that movie? And girls started dressing like the Spice Girls, big chunky platform shoes and super short skirts decorated with spikes and pentagrams and inverted crosses. But there were a few more 1996 fashion trends worth noting. The slip dress was an evening wear must in the 90s, and I have noticed this year, 2024, I have noticed a few slips appearing in the shops again. Everyone from the Spice Girls to Kate Moss rocked a slinky slip dress back in 96. If there's one accessory that defines the 90s and 1996 in particular, it has to be the choker. Did like myself a bit of a choker. From beaded chokers via Liv Tyler to layered gothic ones a la The Craft, the choker was huge in 1996. I still rock a bit of a choker. I love them. Oh,
Me too.
yeah, I know, Bob. So anyway, back in 1996, the preferred overalls were really oversized. Here in 2024, overalls are on the hangers, but they appear to be like a more fitted cut. 1996 was the year when athletic wear became cool, from Adidas, track pants and crop tops to slip dresses paired with sneakers. See, we're doing all that now. Again, still cool wear today, some 27 years later. Plaids and gingham were some of the popular prints, as well as one-piece swimsuits, and they have made a comeback this year as well, says she who just bought a bikini.
Did you?
I sure did, Bob. A hairband was all the rage. I recall having a number of them around the house with 3 daughters. They were such a thing, as well as round mini sunglasses. I may or may not have had a pair of John Lennon styled sunnies. Sporting a sweatband was very in too. I don't recall doing that, but many did. Some of the 1996 styles are very much 2023, 2024, still going strong or making a comeback. So yes, in 1996, I gave birth to my youngest daughter, who is now nearly, any time now, next month, 28. Or no. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. I may have mucked up the dates here. But yes, but she is going to be 28 anyway. And that is a blowout to me because by rights, she should actually still be 5.
You wish.
I do. I started saying goodbye to her, though, when she was about 7. And she'd look at me with a question in her eyes, and me, the goober that I am, I would say, "You're growing up fast and I'm going to miss you." "I'll never leave you, Mummy." She'd say, "Oh, yes, you will." And that's right and correct, the way of things, I know. But I'm going to miss you. What a pain in the neck I was.
But you adored her.
Oh, I still do. I love all my girls and still miss her like heck. And I still enjoy being her mummy, still do, always will. Enjoyed being mummy to all my girls. Like it was a conscious enjoyment. It was just it was just great. Anywho, hashtag circa 1996.
I'll forgive you for rambling.
Oh, thanks, Bob. Some folk do not like anyone to sound too happy about their kids or grandkids, and it is such a great feeling. That pride of them, the appreciation that they are getting on with their lives, that they're happy, that they're doing what they want, not what I want, and that has taught me a lot. The old stepping back trick.
Is that a trick?
Bloody feels like it at time, Bobs.
So,
well, when your kids are adults and completely self-sufficient, you have to back off. No advice unless asked, because yes, you know better and all that. And maybe you don't in all cases, but anyway, you've sort of been there and done that sort of thing, and that's the major point. They haven't, and they have to go through to understand and know for themselves. You cannot save your adult kids from themselves. You have to be there on the sidelines to help if they ask, but you cannot advise because you know better. You will destroy your opportunity to have an adult ongoing close relationship with them. It is so hard as parents because we've been raising and advising and protecting for decades, and then, then to back off feels foreign and off somehow.
Oh, and that does sound tricky.
Oh, it is, Bob, but it does get better. While they are learning, you are unlearning. It's a timeless example. Takes a bit of self-awareness, but it can be done.
You did a podcast on this subject, didn't you?
Oh, I did, Bob. Hashtag circa 1996. Do you recall the Mount Everest tragedy?
I do.
In May 1996, 30 climbers had scaled Mount Everest, all 8,848 metres of it. They were feeling on top of the world.
Literally.
But Their celebrations were premature, the weather was closing in, with 30 climbers on or descending from the summit, a blizzard hit. Then, following 36 hours, 8 climbers would die in Everest's worst tragedy, but not before extraordinary heroics and terrible suffering. I was looking at commercials from 1996 and every second ad was selling CDs. I saw an ad for Game Boy and how the graphics were better, lifetime warranty, and the final line in the ad was, "Put more fun in your pants."
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, me too, Bob. TV show Malibu Shores was big, as was the Mac Breakfast Burger when we didn't know any better. Jamie Oliver won a legal battle against McDonald's. Celebrity chef Jamie Oliver proved that the meat in McDonald's hamburgers is unfit for human consumption due to the use of beef trimmings treated with bacteria-killing ammonium hydroxide. Harold Bishop returns to Neighbours. We've just jumped subjects there.
I thought something. Hey, where are we going? What?
A soap opera here in Australia for our international marble dwellers at 6:30 weeknights on 10. I loved Neighbours.
Yeah, me too. Neighbours, pick your bum and taste the flavours. It tastes like baked potatoes.
Sensation, Bob. Oh, my God.
Yeah, thanks, I know.
Comic George Burns dies 100 years old in 1996. Princess Diana divorces. Cigarettes took its first big slap to the chops in March 13th, 1996. The Liggett Group agreed to pay a massive $2 billion in a lawsuit to reform advertising. This means abandoning the use of cartoon characters that appealed to teenagers. It was resolving a lawsuit involving tobacco-related illnesses among residents of 5 states in America. Also, they had to fund anti-smoking programs.
Wow.
I know. For me personally, to me, 1996 seems like an entire lifetime ago. It feels like I am describing an era that in some ways feels like yesterday and in other ways as though I'm describing someone else's life. We all changed so much, and seeing 1996 in my timeline, it is that, well, that's 28 years ago.
Wow, you're really old.
I am, Bob. An entire fashion cycle nearly. The age of my youngest daughter, in fact, who's, days away from turning 28. My other daughters were 9 and 12 years old in 1996. I had a different life partner. I had different friends, some still in my life. Petrol was crazy expensive. Housing, both renting and buying, is out of control in comparison to 96. Many people cannot afford much more than the basics. We have witnessed the downfall of our countries at the hands of governments who have made it abundantly clear it's not really about the people. You have to book in advance to see a doctor a week or more. From people I know in the States and other so-called modern Western societies, it's far worse. Their waiting to go and see a doctor is really a long time, and even longer to see a specialist. In New Zealand, it's insanely expensive. They have no medical care system, so it's something like $70 to go to the doctor, and I'm quoting numbers from a few years ago, and prescriptions are, well, yep, you've guessed it, incredibly expensive. Salaries are very low, and yet their rents and house prices are on par with Sydney, Australia. Makes no sense at all.
Expensive?
Yeah, just a little bit. I was talking to a man the other day who was seriously ill, had to wait an hour to get an ambulance, and then left lying in the ambulance in the parking ramp of the hospital for 2 hours before, anyone came to see him. So whatever you do, don't get sick or require an ambulance. Things have changed a lot since 1996. There wouldn't be any of us that could say things haven't. Of course, there's been a lot of improvements in a lot of areas, a lot of discoveries. There are a lot of good things that have happened. It's just when I sort of weigh up in that moment the differences that matter for most of us on the ground, it's, can be a little bit, I don't know, bit disappointing in some ways, I guess. When I was in New Zealand for a whole 11 months, back in 96 through to 97, it felt a lot longer because it did so much while I was there. But during that 11 months, and certainly after returning to Australia, amongst a few choice scenarios, one of the things I had to make peace with was the ending of a cherished dream. My hometown had always been my default dream, that is to say, the place I always saw myself going back to, my home, where I was born. where some of my best memories at that stage of my life, they were all in my mind. It was a dream I thought I would breathe life into again, but I had to come to terms that I was never going back again, and maybe for a holiday, but even then, maybe not, who knows. Time had come to not have anywhere as a default place. I didn't need it because I hadn't looked at it. It wasn't on my radar, but there it was glaring at me. Such an important year for me. It changed me forever, and the reverberations of that year still reverb today. I don't even know if that makes sense, but I know you know what I'm talking about. And I'm beyond grateful for it. It was the wake-up call I needed. Didn't know I needed it. Ugh. Looking back, I was sound asleep in terms of thinking through my steps. I was running a successful business, raising 3 young children, involved in music and drama, more than enough for anybody at any time. But when other things happened to me on top of that, it was what it took to wake me up. And I made big changes to my life that would never have happened had I not been ripped off, stolen from, gaslit, lied to and about, iced out and ignored. In retrospect, it still sends shivers down my spine to think what it took to make me realise that I was surrounded by narcissists, liars and thieves. Hashtag CIRCA 1996. Yeah, for those reasons, that year is unforgettable, and it's just such a shame that so many really terrible things happen. A lot of lovely things happen too, but as usual with us humans, it usually takes a good slap around the chops for us to go, wake up. I'm sure that there's many, if not all, of you out there where you've had a specific year, where things just went upside down, pear-shaped, to the point that it changed you forever. It changed your worldview because it was so hard-hitting. By the same token, maybe you had an amazing event that changed your life in the most positive, glorious way. By and large, it's the slap to the chops, the swish of an ice-cold fish to the cheeks that makes us dwellers wake up.
They are hard lessons, aren't they?
Well, they can be, Bob, but so worth it. And hopefully we can be a little bit more vigilant and not have a repeat of 1996. It was fun, my kids, pure heaven on a stick. Yes, I enjoyed my little girls, and truth be told, I will always miss those times with them. Just such good times. But here we are in 2024 and the end of another poddy. Marble dwellers, no! Yes, Bob, and we will be back next week.
Oh, all right then.
And I'd like to give a shout out to anyone that can remember their childhood phone number but can't remember the password they created yesterday. You are my people.
And mine too.
Well, say good day to the family for me. Give the chicken a chuckle, and we'll see you next time, okay? Okay, bye.
Bye.